I'm the disc golf guy. 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 And this is my video blog. I'm the disc golf guy, and this is my video blog. Sit back and enjoy leader card coverage of the front nine here at the 2014 Memorial Championships. And we see Philo has thrown out of bounds here on the first hole. Second on the tee is Christopher Becker, also sitting at 11 under with two other players in Cale Leiviska and JohnE McCray. Philo's tee shot had gone out of bounds. It came up short against the wall, so Chris Becker is to tee second. And Christopher Becker is up and over and safely on the green. Well, the green grass, that is. Third to tee.
Cale Leiviska.
Oh yeah. Minnesota's Cale Leiviska. Third on the tee here. Just a few moments ago, I caught up with Cale's mom, who said that this hole was in fact nerve-wracking even for her. Cale hangs it out wide and right, and no problems being inbounds for Cale Leiviska.
And now on the tee, JohnE McCray.
And JohnE McCray is announced as fourth on the tee. The third gentleman's hitting at -11. JohnE making sure to not come up short. He has gone long. And we're going to move on. We have teed off here at the second round of the 2014 Memorial Championships presented by Discraft. I'll be your host today, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy. Let's enjoy the show. Philo here is going to simply re-tee. There was quite a debate as to whether or not if his first tee shot had hit the wall. And so Philo has simply re-thrown and thrown a very nice shot. Again, the debate was whether or not he had hit the wall on his drive. The spotter said he did not hit the wall. A few people from the tee thought that he did. So that continues to be the debate. This will be debated for the rest of the day, I'm sure. Throwing approach shot here is JohnE McCray, who went long of the basket and has thrown a very nice approach shot to within 10 feet. Chris Becker here has an approach shot. He's simply just trying to lay it up, and he has done so quite nicely to within 5 feet of the basket. Leiviska is approximately 45 feet from the pin. And Cale with a simple layup next to the basket. Just trying to get off hole one here with a par. Philo has laid up within 10 feet or so of the basket here. He's looking to open with a double bogey 5. This is JohnE McCray for par and puts in without a problem. This will be Philo for double bogey 5. Cale Leiviska will be putting in for a par 3. And last but not least, we have Chris Becker also putting in for what I believe is his par 3. I don't believe he went out of bounds on his drive. And there you have it. Somewhat exciting hole 1 here. No birdies. However, plenty of action and drama here on hole 1. Cale Leiviska opts for the straight ahead route here on hole 2. Looks like he set himself up in a very nice position there. Next to throw is JohnE McCray. Johnny with a low shot, which gets quite a few skips. Hovers over very nicely. He definitely kept it low. Chris Becker looks like he's lining up for a forehand shot out and over the water. And he did not hang it out as far as he had hoped to. We have the spotter chasing it down and giving him a green flag, meaning he is in bounds. Last to tee is Philo Brathwaite. And Philo has released that a little too low and did not get the skip action that JohnE McCray did. Philo's shot is up. He's asking for a little action up there. Very nice looking shot from Philo. Cale Leiviska's second shot here on hole 2. Playing it a little bit for the skip. You really need to get inside that palm tree. He's trying to push it over with his hand, but unfortunately that's going to be a challenging putt from there. Chris goes with a low shot that is rolling and rolling. Philo is lining up for his third shot here. Again, hole 2 measures in at 703 feet. A true par 4 out here. And he has approached to within 15 or so feet. JohnE McCray has about 40 feet to the pin, staring into a very stiff headwind, as you can see there. Wind had lifted it up in the air. Thankfully, he's still within 2 feet, so he'll have an easy tap in. The wind is just absolutely howling out here today. Completely different conditions from what we saw at Vista del Camino yesterday. Cale Leiviska is right on that circle's edge. Basically 33.5 feet. He's just going to be laying it up. It's a putt you would normally see some of our top pros running at, but today it is just not going to happen from that distance. Chris will have his putt from just inside the circle's edge. You can see the flag on the basket is absolutely just howling there. And oh, that is as bad of a roll as you could get here on this hole. In fact, it is still rolling and has finally set down. When it's all said and done, that is more than a 60 or 70 foot roll here for Chris. I've managed to position myself next to the sole tree within 35 feet of the basket to get a little break from the wind here, but as I said, that is actually probably more than 60 feet here for Chris. That is a very unfortunate break here. Chris is just looking to get up and down here. Oh, and like Johnny's shot, his putt had gone up and stalled, and he's within 10 feet, which is still no gimme here. Philo has about 15 feet to the pin and is staring into that same stiff headwind everyone else has experienced. Good putt. Philo will settle for a par 4, and this is Chris for a bogey 5. And no problem from there. You're going to see that a lot today. Everything, even putts within 10 or 15 feet, they're going to take a little extra time on and be sure that they can put them in, as does Cale from 5 feet with a little bit of authority, as does JohnE McCray. We'll move on to the par 3, 294 foot, hole 3. Cale Leiviska's shot is up and to the right, playing for that hyzer. Does not get much of a skip, although the wind is pushing very hard into our face. Next to throw will be JohnE McCray. Johnny also goes high and wide and lands within a few feet of the basket. Philo's shot is coming in. He's waving for it to move over a little bit more, but it comes in nicely. Chris's shot is up. It looks like he got it higher than he'd like to. I had misspoken. Chris did not go out of bounds with his shot. He was not far enough and close enough to the pin in order to do that. JohnE McCray's putt is up and good, as he had just gone just a bit long of the basket. Very nice putt by JohnE McCray. And with Philo coming up just short of the basket, he had a headwind putt, and unfortunately he was just off the front of the cage for that. Still left with about 10 feet, which is, again, no easy task here today. Cale Leiviska only has about 12 to 15 feet, but he's going to have to be very careful with this putt. He has somewhat of a tailwind or a little bit of a crosswind here, as opposed to Philo's headwind putt. And he puts in perfectly. Very nice birdie for Cale Leiviska. The wind has died. Maybe Chris will step up and putt very quickly here, as the wind has just died momentarily. And Chris puts in for his par 3. Again, I had misspoke. He did not go out of bounds off the tee. So Chris takes a 3, and Philo does the same. Birdies for JohnE McCray and Cale Leiviska, and pars for Chris Becker and Philo Brathwaite. Welcome to hole 4, where we have Cale Leiviska on the tee. Hole 4 measuring in at 463 feet downhill. JohnE McCray is next on the tee here after birdieing hole 3 along with Cale. And Johnny has a very similar looking shot, however that needs to sit down, and it looks as if it has. Third on the tee is Philo Brathwaite. Philo with a little bit of a slow start here. Goes with a lower shot than we've seen from the previous 2, and seems like he will have a very similar but not. Philo has rolled out of bounds. He is deep and out of bounds. After Philo's OB shot, we have Chris Becker on the tee. Chris going with a much higher hyzer than the previous 3. However, he is also going to be short and left. Chris has about 50 feet to the pin and has just laid up next to it. JohnE McCray is about 40, maybe 45 feet past. Oh, and he just kisses off the top of the basket. Wind dies down nicely just as Cale was about to putt. Unfortunately, he was a little wide to the right. He will also have to settle for a par here. And after rolling out of bounds, Philo is able to convert on the putt, and he will still take a 3, as will the rest of the group. We would consider that a circle 3 or a penalty 3 or a 3P, meaning that he actually only threw twice. However, he had 1 penalty stroke. Cale taps in, as I expect both JohnE McCray and Chris to do so. This was hole 4, 463 feet downhill, par 3. We have 4 pars on the card. Cale's shot is going up and down. Needs to get a little closer. He's calling for it here on hole 5. Crowd gives him a clap. Next to tee will be JohnE McCray. And Johnny's going to need that to get a little bit more stable. And unfortunately it does not. He is going to be out of bounds. Philo releases and he sees it carrying right, and unfortunately it has also gone out of bounds here. As he says, his Firebird was not stable enough. And Chris Becker makes sure not to flirt with that road OB on the right hand side. Looks like his shot should still work for him, although he is short and left. After throwing OB on his tee shot, JohnE McCray has that for a layup. You can see Chris in the shadows there of the small open air pavilion. And he throws up his birdie putt, and it is just a bit right. Philo's putt for par is up and in. That is another 3P, or penalty 3 as we referred to on the previous hole. However, he has made good on the putt and he will get a par. Cale's birdie putt is just a few inches short. Cale putting from exactly on that 33-foot circle, and unfortunately just a few inches short. He is also going to have to settle for par. That gives Cale, Chris, and Philo pars, and JohnE McCray a circle 4. Here we are on hole 6, watching Cale take the big hyzer approach, and unfortunately that doesn't seem to be far enough to the right. And Philo also going with the hyzer shot up and over, and it hits the top of the basket. Unfortunately, that may or may not have rolled away. However, it hit the top of the basket. Nice shot by Philo. Chris Becker goes with a very similar shot to what we've seen from the previous two, and looks like he has landed up there nicely next to the basket. Throw it out of bounds. And JohnE McCray. Blah, 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 blah. Philo still looking to catch a break here this round. He had hit the top of the basket and then unfortunately rolled out of bounds. Looks like he will be settling for a bogey 4 here on hole 6. And JohnE McCray had also rolled out of bounds. He's going with the and he hits the top after going with a straddle turbo putt. Just a bit high. And Cale Leiviska has about 35, maybe 40 feet at most, and just opts to lay up. No one wants to be putting in this wind today, or even driving probably for that matter. Chris Becker has a birdie opportunity from 15, and he makes good very quickly. Cale taps in, as will JohnE McCray and Philo. We're on to hole 7. With the birdie on hole 6, Chris Becker has taken the tee. We are here on hole 7 as the wind continues to howl. This hole is the shortest hole that all competitors will play this weekend at 210 feet. That's the shortest hole between either course. However, it is far from the easiest hole. And looks like it's coming in. And he has hit the tree and will have to lay up from there. The wind is almost a direct headwind coming at these players right now. The fountain is going off, however, it is at its lowest setting due to the high winds. Again, just 210 feet from tee to pin here. Cale's shot looks to be coming in nicely, but maybe a little hot, and it barely checks up perfectly. Great shot by Cale Leiviska. He'll have a slight tailwind putt from there. Philo, who continues to have very bad luck out here today. He's checking the wind. It is at least a 25-mile-an-hour wind that is almost directly in their face on the tee. I'm standing almost perpendicular to the basket here on the 33-foot circle. Philo's shot looks to be hanging out wide, and he is at least 75 feet from the pin. See the large crowd of people over there hanging out on hole 8. Seems as if there's a large backup on that hole. Last to tee is JohnE McCray, who was giving it enough power and has filtered through the tree. As you can see, he gets the green flag and he is in bounds. There's a look at the fountain, as I said, at its lowest setting, and a wind just ripping in your face here on hole 7. As you can see, even throws from within 100 feet are very challenging out here with this wind. Philo approaching with a stiff right to left wind on that shot. And Chris throws his shot and almost puts it in. As we've seen before, a little bit of a stall. He's going to have to settle for a par here on the shortest hole of the weekend. And Cale Leiviska's birdie putt is up and in. Beautiful putt by Cale. He will be carding a birdie 2. He's got to be happy to get that one and get off of this hole. And JohnE McCray's putt is just a bit short here in this howling headwind. Johnny's going to have to settle for a par along with Chris and Philo. Cale Leiviska takes the box with a birdie 2. Cale Leiviska is on the tee after a very lengthy backup. He is going monster hyzer, bigger than he'd really like to be. And it looks like he landed in bounds behind the crowd here on the next hole. And Cale caught a little bit of a break there as he was looking to go out of bounds. We are here on hole 8. This is Chris Becker on the tee. Hole 8 measuring in at 570 feet. This is a par 4. Chris Becker coming up and over us and landing in a pretty good position there, setting up for a second shot. Here is Philo's tee shot. Philo going high as well, just trying to clear these trees. And he's going to land, clear the gallery and a few of the players here on the next hole, but he's basically landed right where Chris did. Last on the tee here is JohnE McCray. And Johnny's shot is coming in and sits down, and he is inbounds. JohnE McCray throwing his second shot. That looks like it has come up safe for him. Philo going with a straight ahead approach. Just needs it to sit down. And unfortunately he has gone past the pin and is OB. Chris Becker with a very daunting look at his approach shot. And I think he had gotten a little nervous and came up short and to the right. Cale Leiviska is throwing his approach shot here after barely staying in bounds. And it looks as if he is inbounds and we'll be looking at a birdie putt. Chris just lays up right to the basket. We'll have a drop in 4. Philo's putt is up and is not good. Unfortunately, he has not drawn any metal, so he's going to have to go to the other side of the basket for that one. And Philo's troubles continue here on the last par 4. Beautiful birdie putt by JohnE McCray here on hole 9. 570 feet. JohnE McCray with a birdie 3. And a beautiful birdie putt by Cale Leiviska on number 9, 570 feet, birdie 3. Philo taps in and is happy to get off this hole. Chris Becker will do the same. As the last par 4 found here at Fountain Hills. We'll move on to hole 10. Here we are on hole 9 with Cale Leiviska on the tee. And he is going long over here on the right hand side, perfectly safe. A great shot by Cale. JohnE McCray throws a very nice high shot, which is attacking the green beautifully. And unfortunately that's not going to be enough to go after the putt, but it was a beautiful tee shot. Chris Becker here. And throws a shot that is inbounds. After a distraction or two, Philo is all set here on the tee. Philo seemingly just cannot catch a break here today with anything. And he has thrown a very, very high and slightly wide tee shot. It hits the tree and comes back and lands safely. Cale Leiviska going with a slightly wide hyzer route and unfortunately did not come back in bounds. He will have a putt up there for his circle 4. And Philo has approximately 100 feet left to the hole. Unfortunately, he only threw it about 60 feet. He will be left with a putt just outside the circle. Chris also has just under 100 feet and is laid up within 10 feet of the basket. And in very quick motion, when the wind was a little down, JohnE McCray lays up within 10 feet as well. Philo's putt from 38 feet is just short and off the front of the basket. And in amazing fashion, Cale Leiviska gets his putt to stick in there. This is hole 9, 2014 Memorial Championships. Philo taps in, as does Chris, and will JohnE McCray.
I'm JohnE McCray, and that was the front 9, and now we're headed to the back.